Hey guys, so today's video is actually linked to the latest blog post on my website as always, and it is looking back at the Writers' Summit, part of this year's online London Book Fair, some of which I had the pleasure of actually attending on Tuesday the 8th, the morning thereof. And before I start, I'd like to give a shout out to the LBF's conference manager, Hannah Brewer, for encouraging me to come along. It was actually a very rewarding experience, and I do encourage anyone sort of interested in writing, no matter where they are in the stage of their career, to go along. You do obviously have to pay, but it's worth it. It's worth it to get the industry insights. You get some decent panels and talks from success stories, basically. So yeah, I do highly recommend going. And just to sort of paint a picture of what's to come in today's video, the first event I got to attend was a panel Q&A with some big names in the publishing industry, namely Abiola Bello, who's a YA and children's author, Alison Jones, who's the director of Practical Inspiration Publishing, Ben Hughes from Ingram Spark, Catherine Summerhayes, who is an agent, and Kimberly Young from HarperCollins. So yeah, not sort of D-list publishing houses or anything like that. We're talking the real deal. And with them I got to get a bit of a clearer picture as to the pros and cons of both traditional and self-publishing, which I'll go into in a bit more detail. And then a little later on, I also got to listen to a short presentation with a literary agent called Liza de Block, who sort of showed us and demonstrated how to perfect both the elevator pitch and the submission letter, two very important things if you are looking to go down the traditional publishing route. So I'm going to pass on a little what I learned. I can't give away all the secrets, obviously, but yeah, I'll pass on a few pearls of wisdom in the video that follows. So then, the first part of the talk was to do with the pros and cons of traditional publishing and self-publishing. It was officially called Your Book, Your Choice. And as I say, it was a panel of industry figures, basically weighing in their 2Ps as to what they thought was good about the publishing industry from the traditional sense and the self-publishing sense. I get asked a lot why I personally chose to go down the independent publishing route, as opposed to looking for an agent and trying to get the Berylford Scandals traditionally published. The main thing for me was the creative freedom. I didn't want to have an agent or to have a publisher read through the work, say they liked it, but it would be better if it ended up being a psychological thriller. So please rewrite it and come back to us in a year or something. It wouldn't have been possible to do it. And I've heard and I've interviewed the likes of Nina Manning, for example, for her first book. She set it out originally as a domestic drama, and she got asked to turn it into the psychological thriller that it is now. But she had to more or less rewrite the whole thing, and I use that case study a lot because it does fully demonstrate where traditional publishing goes one way and you maintain complete creative control for self-publishing. But Ben Hughes from Ingram Spark, who was on this panel, gave a few more pros to self-publishing, such as the speed to markets. It's very immediate. He also mentioned actually authors having used self-publishing or independent publishing as a springboard to traditional publishing further down the line, which is something that I have been considering in the early stages of development for You Can Hear Chopin from the Attic, the book I'm working on presently. I'm still a bit on the fence about it, to be totally honest with you, because as Ben pointed out in his presentation, it is difficult to hit the high sale figures. Not necessarily the level of investment that goes into an independently published book, if not for the book's publication itself, then for the marketing and PR, the publicity that goes into it. Obviously, if you go down the route that I chose, Amazon KDP, it is free to publish your book. Obviously, you have to incur costs for stuff like the cover design if you're going to get it done professionally. Amazon does have a cover designing facility, but it is very basic by comparison to hiring a graphic designer. I got lucky with both of mine, as anyone who has seen the covers for both Berylford Scandals novels will know. Both Dan Lipsky and Michal Musiałek knocked out of the park the brief that I gave them. So either of them I would highly recommend. But there are plenty out there, graphic designer, cover designer wise. Why did I go down KDP as opposed to Ingram Spark, where Ben Hughes comes from? Because Ingram Spark does actually charge a one-time upfront fee to upload your book, and then there are obviously further costs incurred as time goes on for ordering wholesale copies and so on and so forth. And when you were on a tight budget, as I was, both times around, who am I kidding? Those sort of upfront fees are sort of not feasible. When it comes to traditional publishing, though, if you do choose to go and get yourself an agent, one of the things that we were sort of half led to believe and half thought, oh no, this is a myth, recently, was that the agent will steer you through it. And this was Catherine Summerhayes who said this, that yes, the agent will steer you through the publication process, which is good if you are not necessarily confident about the marketing and the publicity side of things, of course, as many people aren't. You also do potentially, anyway, reach more readers, but it does come down to a lot of luck, as is the way with a lot of this industry. It takes one, it can just come down to one person seeing it and promoting it, and all of a sudden you have loads of people knowing about you. Or equally, it's the same with even doing a YouTube video, for example. It's, it can come down to one video that goes viral, and that's the rest of it. So it comes down to a lot of luck. And that's kind of another reason why I sort of steered away from traditional publishing. With the first two books, I was in a position where I just wanted, I've been sitting on them for 10 years or longer, and I was ready to see the back of them, really. And I figured, again, to speak to Margaret, the creative control, and I thought, I don't want to be bogged down in publishing procedure and rejection, of course, for another 6 months to a year trying to get it published, when there's perfectly good avenues to eliminate all of that right here. And as many of you know, they have done reasonably well for self-published books. So the second part of the Writer Summit that I managed to attend fully was the presentation by literary agent Liza de Blanc, who ran a half-hour masterclass, I suppose you'd call it, entitled How to Smash Your Book Pitch. More specifically, she discussed the elevator pitch, and then the submission letter. She sort of gave examples of how to do both. I don't want to basically just plagiarize everything she said. I'm going to sort of give it to you, and then I would probably give my example, the half-sharpened example, I suppose you'd call it, of You Can Hear Chopin, if I were to deliver an elevator pitch based on the formula that Liza de Block gave. So it involves three key elements. Is the character, i.e. the main character, the main protagonist that you are, as a reader, emotionally engaged with the most. The setting and the main conflict. Obviously, I know that there are plenty of stories out there that have more than one main protagonist, as many of mine stories do, including You Can Hear Chopin. And obviously with that there are more than one conflict. But you go for the central one, the main idea, the core idea. And conciseness is the key here. Do not be too vague, do not be too wordy. You want detailed but concise. And as long as you involve those three things, you can't go far wrong. At least make sure it says something specific about the book, and find that happy medium that makes the reader or the agent or whoever want to know more. Then as for the submission letter, which goes to the agent, that involves the title, the genre of the story, which you would probably say is complete at X amount of words. Then you include your elevator pitch as a sort of a paragraph. You involve maybe a couple of comparable works, if there are any. Unless you've managed to find a fantastic gap in the market, where I suppose you would probably illustrate that fact instead. And then sign off professionally, of course. Yeah, Liza gave an example, of course, to illustrate her point, which I'm not going to repeat, because obviously I don't want to plagiarize her. But yeah, so Liza de Block, who is a literary agent with Mushin Entertainment, is well worth taking a look at her, and maybe there'll be more information out there for you. But yeah, based on the formula she gave, this is a half-sharpened elevator pitch for You Can Hear Chopin from the Attic. It only needs to be 1 or 2 sentences. It's very, very short. Don't expect huge reams of words. Here we go. Heinrich Oeynhausen is the manager of a luxury hotel in Berlin. With war raging around him, he must also conceal his sick wife from his Nazi clientele. So, yeah, Heinrich Oeynhausen is the character. Setting is the luxury hotel in Berlin, the Heinrichstürmer, and the war raging around him, i.e. the Second World War, is the conflict, but also indicated by the fact that he has Nazis staying with him. Meanwhile, his wife is sick and therefore a target. And yeah, those sorts of things a reader or a literary agent would want further information about, you'd hope. I was very sorry not to be able to attend more of the Writers' Summit, but I do hope I get to go again next year, and hopefully it'll be in person, as opposed to online and virtual and purely chat-based as well. I didn't really get to meet any of the other writers, or the other delegates, I suppose you'd call them, who were also in attendance, which was a shame. So yeah, hopefully next year we get to go to the conference in person and actually network a bit. That'd be nice. But yeah, as I said at the beginning, if you're an aspiring writer of any genre, at any particular stage of your career, I do recommend going to the Writers' Summit. It's worth every penny that you pay for the ticket, and yeah, you'll come away richer in knowledge, and hopefully a few contacts as well who can complain. We'll just obviously, as I always do, sign off by reminding you Obviously, both Barrel for the Scandals books are still available on Amazon in both Kindle and paperback format. Do give them a shot if you're into period mystery, slightly romantic in one case, more crime thrillery on the other. I do recommend them. Obviously, I recommend them. They do come highly recommended by other readers as well, as I'm sure you'll find from the Amazon reviews. And if you haven't left an Amazon review but you have read the book, please do help out with that. That would be much appreciated. And any more information is, of course, available on the website www.dale-hurst.com. And yeah, I don't really have anything else to go over for this particular video, but as always, pleasure. This has been Dale Hurst, and I'm saying goodbye for now.